Welcome into the Legislative Lounge. This is the 20th episode, so welcome in. But we do have a special guest tonight because our main man, Mike, is actually with his beautiful bride this evening. She's having a procedure done, so prayers out to Meg, and everything goes well. Let the surgeons, guide their hands and everything, so say a prayer for her. It's nothing too serious, but anything can happen during surgery, so keep her in your prayers, obviously. And we want to welcome American Lumberjack. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right, bro. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Well, welcome back. I know we always love it when you come back because you always bring that knowledge for us. So, well, let's just dive right in. I mean, we've got a lot of things going on this week. A lot of the fear mongering over the last week. In regards to tariffs and the situations with China, with Panama, with Mexico and Canada mainly, and
Colombia too.
and Colombia. I know. We've been. He's really not, messing around with any of these countries, obviously, but some of the bigger ones that's hitting and has been more so in the news lately is, Mexico and Canada, and them both trying to like puff their chest up to Donald Trump and, like, hey, you're going to hit us, we're going to hit you back. And it's all like, I don't really know about that because honestly, you do know that we economically have your economy by the gonads
in the palm of our hands.
So what's your whole take on that?
Honestly, man, you know as well as I do, they've been shaking in their boots. They were hoping Donald Trump didn't win. And when they won, they knew they would have to put on political theater, to seem like they're doing something, but they're all going to fold. And you're seeing it. The dominoes are falling left and right. And even if he were to not fold, or they were not to fold, it still would benefit the United States because we have more leverage.
For sure. And I mean, there's people all over social media talking about this. And it's sad to see how many people think that they know what they're talking about. But when you really dive into it, they don't understand the backgrounds of what Donald Trump's doing. They don't understand the backgrounds of economics and how Incoterms work. And I know you're pretty adverse in those, but it was just today, this morning where I put out a video on social media and I'm like, look, I don't care what y'all say. Y'all are sitting here, praising, Trudeau. He's standing up to Trump. And I was like, give it until 3:00 today. He's going to fold. Guess what? 2 hours later, they said that they're going to get a call on exactly 3:00. And then by 3:30, it was announced that they had agreed to everything that Donald Trump wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I found that to be, bro, that was, because I do nightly lives, and I had a lady on my live from Canada last night, and she says, "I'll be coming back to talk to you in 3 weeks." And I said, "Yeah, if it takes that, or 2 weeks." I was like, "Yeah, if it takes that long," and sure shit, it ain't even been a full 24 hours.
I mean, this is what people don't understand is the fact that when it comes to Canada specifically. Now, Mexico is a little bit different, but I mean, more so Canada because they do have a lot of exportation, with products and especially crude oil and things like that. But a lot of people aren't realizing that. I mean, we are the largest export receiver of Canadian goods in the entire world, and it's not even close. So, I mean, a lot of people don't really realize the extent of it. But when we take a look at the actual information here, the United States is the chief trading partner, constituting more than 2/3 of all Canadian trade. Export accounts for a larger share of trade than imports. So what they're selling us, we're literally buying 3/4 of their entire exports. Basically their entire economy. This is the imports. We were about half. So we import a half of our goods, of the goods that they receive into their country, but of their exports. So like, think of yourself being a business. Lumberjack, you're a business owner, right?
Yeah.
Think of 3/4 of your business coming from one customer.
Yeah. You're going to do anything and everything to please that one customer.
That is absolutely crazy. That is 76.9% of all
Mhm.
trade and it's the same for 23 and 24. I've already checked, but this was the most recent update. But when you go to the .govs and whatnot, they'll give you more information. But even further than that, like we can actually break this down into real numbers based off of the World Integrated Trade Solutions. Like when you look at the import-export partners, it's not even close to the
No.
second. I mean, it's
Man,
amazing to me that
look
they
at the
would even
units.
try.
Oh my God. That's crazy. I didn't even know it was that bad.
Yeah, the 76.88% on this one, which is a little bit higher than the other one. But I mean, in regards to the millions of dollars that we account for over $400 billion of their net income. It is just insane to believe that they would have the goal to stand up to America, because we literally control your entire economy from top to bottom. Without the United States, you do not operate.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Nate, that goes for a lot of countries, bro. That's not just Canada. Like our
Yeah.
import export situation with Mexico ain't much different.
Oh no, Mexico it's about the same actually. I was just looking at that not too long ago. It's about 52% for them of their entire. I mean, they don't have a whole lot of import export anyways, because I mean it's Mexico. But
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to, I mean, specifically Canada, it just floors me with them, just because of the fact, like, I knew Mexico was going to fold within minutes, and it was literally what was it? Within an hour after he announced, she called him and was like, "Yeah, let's get this done." Canada kind of a surprise. Oh, go ahead.
You know how I know they were going to fold without looking at any news sources. I simply went to Google and I looked at the and this was on the 2nd. This was of February. I looked at the peso versus the dollar. And
Yep.
that bitch, as it stands right now, it was almost 49 cents. For every US dollar, a peso was 49 cents. It's under 47 cents now.
Yeah, I know
actually
today
4 cents. It's under 4 cents now. It was almost 5 cents. Now it's under 4 cents now.
Yeah,
and plummeting still.
Right. I know today though they did start to, because of the freeze that they announced for Mexico. It started to make a rebound, but the fact that it fluctuated so rapidly, it just it goes to prove how much of the business trends and the forecasting of our markets and how we operate here affects just as close as Canada and Mexico.
I agree.
I mean, and I was looking at this actually. This is the information for Mexico. It's not that much different when it comes to the. It's literally what that's 452, 458 for Canada, and so it's. I mean, we're $400 billion for both country.
So almost our entire military budget goes to those two countries.
It's insane.
Yeah. By the way, before we run off into the sunset tonight, I want a copy of the websites that you have.
Oh, of course.
Got some stuff I want to do tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, and then you look at the Canadian dollar too. Like just hours before, when they announced that they were putting tariffs on us, and before that meeting at 3:00, it completely tanked as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Canadians can sit out here and talk about all they want, because you saw it all over the social media, you saw it all over the news. They're like, buy Canadian, buy Canadian. It's like, y'all don't even buy Canadian. Americans buy Canadian.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I mean, the Canadian dollar is not strong. It has not ever been strong, and it's totally dependent on the US dollar. So when we fail, they fail. And what I've come to understand is, yeah, you got to talk big, but when I saw Justin Trudeau get up there and say they were going to implement retaliatory tariffs, and I was like, this is not going to go well for you. Now, if this was Biden in office, yeah. If this was Harris in office, yeah. But you're dealing with Trump, and that man knows he holds all the chips.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is, like, it was almost immediately when Trump announced that they were implementing these tariffs. Business, like, this is what people need to understand. what the politicians in Canada or around the world in general, they're not going to see it from a business standpoint because they don't care about the business, honestly. But when you look at the Canadian business, two of the fastest growing food companies in Canada, which is Flourish Pancakes and Midday Squares, both of them immediately started making plans to shut down operations in Canada and move to America.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just two companies, let alone all the manufacturers of the United States when it comes to auto industry. A lot of GM, Chrysler, and Ford that was there in Detroit headed up to Canada because of the implementation of regulation from the Biden administration.
Yeah.
So all of those are going to be coming back.
Yeah. And that's going to hurt Canada really bad because a lot of people don't understand. Again, they don't know how tariffs work. They think that they're bad, but when we lost those companies to regulations due to the Biden administration, Canada made millions and millions and millions of dollars because I like to always tell people, I was like, a Ford F-150 single cab in the United States of America starts at 34,009. Okay. It's 77,008 there. USD. So they're paying over double of what we would pay for a vehicle. But if our companies go up there, they end up cutting those prices almost in half to just $6,000-7,000 more than what we pay instead of $40,000 more. So you have to understand the power of trade. And America has been losing the trade war since 2012. China's taken over 24.7% of the trade, and it was continuing to climb. And I know if Biden would have or Harris would have won, America would have ceased to exist.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we had an episode. It was one of our, I don't know, the first 10 episodes. It's labeled on our site as on our YouTube as Tariff Talks. You can go into that, and Lumberjack was actually with us on that one, and we went into detail about how much the United States actually tariffs other countries versus the other countries tariffing us, and it was 10 times more, if not more, depending on the country. I mean, our average tariff was only about 3.5%. And I believe, if I remember correctly, China's tariff on us is around 32%.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nobody wants to talk about that.
I think I have a screenshot somewhere of because it's interesting you bring up the situation of what they do versus what we do, and the percentages are outrageous. I don't have the screenshot on this phone, but it's like 400 to 600 to almost 700% of what we would charge. Canada charges us. They up the price just that much.
Right, and I believe their tariff was like around 27.5% total for us. I was like, and we're only doing 3, and people are complaining that we want to go up to 25. We're still losing money.
We could easily go up to 25, and like you said, still lose money because our outgo is so astronomical compared to our income, and I think that's what Trump is trying to fix. Honestly, is that, hey, you can't make money if you're spending more than you got.
Right. I mean, we've been operating in the red for how many decades now? I mean, Congress hasn't put forth an actual budget since 2001, and we've said that repeatedly on the show here. It's like they haven't done their job in over 20 years. But I digress on that. I mean, when we look at the the fear mongering around tariffs too, it's astronomical, especially with the people on the left and the senators and House representatives. Was it the guy out of California? I can't ever remember his name. He's so irrelevant. It's a Weasley little guy that nobody ever likes. He's
a senator out of California.
Yeah. Oh man, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. A Weasley little guy. Well, anyways, if you can find it, that'd be great. Just
Are you talking about Fremont?
No, he's one of those bigger named Democrats.
Alejandro?
No, he's a senator.
I don't know. I was just looking at it. The Senate.
Oh, that's gonna annoy me.
You got Adam Schiff.
Shift. That's who it was.
Shift. Oh,
so he put out a
Pencilneck.
yeah. So Weasley little guy, you know, he put out a tweet the other day or just yesterday on X and was like, "Oh, American people are going to be paying these tariffs like a tax." And I went on there. I'm like, "But I thought it was a tax. Haven't you guys been fear mongering this entire time that tariffs are tax?" I mean, how many live debates have you had, Lumberjack, where you've had to explain to people because they keep using Google, Oxford Dictionary rather than a legal dictionary or an economic dictionary, which says that it's an agreement.
Yes, and a duty. And duties and taxes are completely different. And we actually even had a lawyer come out and explain it one time, one that doesn't, bend the knee to the system. And he said that a duty is an agreement that allows you to install a tax on another country. You can't have a duty within your own country because that becomes a tax through and through, because you have the same taxation system, you have the same, internal revenue system, but other countries don't. And he was like, it is like a tax, but at the same time, it has to be agreed upon. And the country doesn't agree upon it, then you essentially become in a stalemate, and people don't understand that. I didn't get to agree to all this money that's being sent out of our country.
Right. And I mean, and going back to the whole Canada for a minute, and then we'll move on from there. But like when it comes to the whole situation with Canada, it's still dumbfounding to me because honestly, we really only need, and I've said this repeatedly, we only need to tariff one particular export, which is one of their top exports, and it'll cripple their entire economy, and that's crude oil. It's because people don't realize how much crude oil that it actually sustains their economy and who buys it. 97. You can fact check me. Google it. Who buys most of Canada's crude oil? Do it live. 97% of it is purchased by the United States. And we don't have to. We do that to help them.
I just did it just to keep you true. He's 100% fact.
97%. Tariff that one product, which is one of their top 3 exports. Your economy's gone.
Well, okay, because I know you want to get off of them, because I can't stand Canadians. I think they suck. But bro,
not all of them. We got a good one.
The electricity. Oh, we send you so much power. You provide power predominantly to New York, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Michigan. And there are other states that receive some of it, but it's so negligible. And predominantly, you're providing them power during the winter because they need it.
You want to know what the actual number is? There's a legitimate number of how much energy that the number is less than 1% of our total energy that's used in America is provided by Canada. So as actually it's around 0.75% of a percent, right? 0.75. So I had Canadians in my comments talking about how, we could shut off your entire, half your country and all this other stuff. And I saw somebody was going at, your favorite person, older millennial, but I saw him in his comments too, saying the same thing. He did a whole video on one of them. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what fantasy world do you Canadians live in, honestly?
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with Mexico, with the whole avocados. California provides 90% of the United States avocado source. And then people are like, oh, you get the rest from an off season from Mexico. No, we don't. We have an import because we are a consumption nation. We consume at a high rate, but 90% of our overall avocado production comes from California. If we stopped importing from Mexico, we would survive just fine. They would just increase production in Florida and in Hawaii.
Yeah, so I actually had this argument with Mike at his house when we were because we were going back and forth about the whole avocado thing, and he was claiming that California was the #1 producer of avocados. I was like, unfortunately, it's not. You can Google this. It is Mexico. Mexico is the #1 when it comes to where we get our avocados from.
Importer. They're the #1 importer, not producer. No. It's in the wording.
Oh, okay.
They're the #1 importer. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. You're 100% correct, but they're not the #1 producer. We produce it, and that's what Trump was trying to say. I forget where it was. It was a press conference. He's like, I'm not worried about Mexico. They're going to take our avocados. We import 51% of their avocado production. So, like you were saying in that chart, how with Canada and Mexico, we are predominantly your whole industry. We're 75% or more of your whole industry as a purchaser. We take 51% of their avocados, export it, because they don't. Again, Mexico doesn't have a bunch of export partners, and neither does Canada. So in import, yes, you're 1,000% correct. They import more avocados to us than anywhere else in the entirety of the world, because they would probably be rotten by the time they got to anywhere else in the world.
Right, that is true.
So if we stop taking their avocados, I think we could probably fundamentally bankrupt that country.
That, and I believe their second import to our export, I should say, to us is oil as well. So I mean, we've got the world's largest oil plate, guys. If we were hurting, which we're not, because the oil reserves that we have, even though they try to fearmonger in the news, the oil reserves that we have will last us generations from right now.
Oh yeah, thousands of years. I'm willing to bet, because this is what the scientists say, that, like you said, we have the largest oil plate in the world that's untapped. They estimate trillions of gallons of oil. The last time I looked, this was like in 2012, trillions of gallons.
It's insane. I think they said it was like 3 to 5 times larger than even that of Saudi Arabia's, which was known as the largest for the longest of time. And their gas is like in the cents, right? They'd be like 40 cents for gas or something.
I know Egypt was paying in the summer, they were paying $1.23 for gas, and they get predominantly their refined oil that's into gas from Saudi Arabia. So, and that's when we were right around the time we were paying like what nationally, like $4.89 or 5 something
like that. Yeah, it's crazy. But talking about waste, though, I know, one of the biggest reports that we've all been waiting for is the how do you pronounce it?
I don't want to do that. It's the
Festivus.
Hold on. I got to see it. It's the Festivus.
Festivus. All right.
It's almost like festival, but you say us at the end. Festivus. It's the Rand Paul Festivus report of 2023, 2024.
Yeah, let's just dive right into that, because I mean, this is the one thing that DOGE, or the Department of Government Efficiency, has really wanted. Like, this is their main. This is why they exist, basically, right? And what they found was astonishing,
staggering.
Well over $1 trillion a year wasted on some of the most nonsensical, asinine, idiotic stuff I've ever seen. I mean, Lumberjack, I know you've read through most of it, if not all of it, but go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you've seen so far through it.
My favorite one is the rats. We spent, and it's not an absorbent amount of money, but we spent $419,000 to see if rats that are lonely will do coke more than rats that are socially interacting. And of course, yes, the rats that were lonely did more coke, because they were depressed. And now we have to get a little rat rehab, or maybe even just let them have syringes, because that's what the Democrats want to do, is give the addicts. But like, it's crazy that the most astronomical number on that list, and if you took that number out, it would make this such a tiny little number, but paying $892 billion in interest towards our national debt. They're not even touching the principal. So you, as well as anybody else that has half of a brain, knows that if all we're paying is the interest and never the principal, you're never going to pay it down.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I just off the top of my, I haven't looked at the actual numbers of what the, it's $1.008 trillion total that's wasted every year. But in that, it's like things like ice skating for drag queens, a $12 million Las Vegas pickleball complex, 4 million, over almost $5 million on Ukrainian influencers, teaching them how to go viral. The Pentagon, over $600 million on sushi, right?
Yeah.
The IRS headquarters, and this is just the headquarters building, spending $230,000 a month on cinnamon roast cake cups.
A month.
When 92% of their employees for that building are remote.
Yeah. Yeah, so somebody has a serious case of diabetes, but what blew my mind most was the fact that they're spending money on companies that are going belly up, and that money we never get that money back. So they're allocating these funds, and I'm looking at the numbers right now. And you brought up the social media. You have Ethiopia, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine that have well over $1 million sent to them just to embolden their social media presence, whilst they spent $330,000 on censoring conservative media in the United States. So that means you, myself, and when we make videos or go live, we don't get pushed out. And then we turn around and look at people like the great paid Harry Sisson, who posts a video and in 5 minutes he has 10 million views on it or something weird like that.
Yeah, it's crazy what they're doing, and I've tried to make contact with some people in my area, and the conservative side and the Republican Party, and say, hey guys, this is what they're doing, and you can take a page out of their book and try and boast these people up, especially now that supposedly TikTok, Facebook, all these others, they're on Donald Trump's side now. I mean, I haven't had a video go down in a long time on TikTok, so.
Well,
Hey,
yeah, because you used to
anybody
get
that
banned all
knows
the time.
me, I say anybody that knows me, man, if I'm doing something right, then well, if I'm not going down, I should say. I mean, obviously TikTok's doing some changes here.
Yeah, no, but so that thinking about the wasteful spending, and then you bringing up the social media and how you've talked to people to try to get them to do what the Democrats were doing. I'm really interested in to see, which I've applied for, and I think you guys have as well.
Yeah,
the White House allowing us to come and sit in on pressers and have real media, because I'm not getting paid for this. I thoroughly enjoy it, but I'm not getting paid. You're not getting paid. And that means that you're going to have real, raw, unbiased, like news.
and that's why I was so excited when I saw that. I immediately ran to it, and me and Mike both did it at the same time. We're like, I mean, it's a long shot because I think there's only one chair that they're opening up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a long shot, but I put everything I could in regards to what we're doing on our end. So, I mean, that would be amazing if any one of the people in our group was able to get their hands on that, even if it was like Jam and Lou or something, right? One of the bigger creators on our side. And
because then we could actually have a put it this way. Lou called me and asked me when he went to go meet with Trump, what's one thing or two things I would actually want Trump to know. And I told him, I was like, we need to repeal Section 230, and we need to get rid of the censorship and reinstate the Smith-Mundt Act. And he did that. He did that.
I'm loving it. Like the executive order where, the censorship, I mean, we're starting to see dividends already. I'm not getting flagged as much. And like I say, guys, if I ain't getting flagged, they do it. Something's happening. So, but I mean, I'm looking at this report, though. I'm just quickly reading over it. The Congressional Budget Office predicts that we will add an average of $2.1 trillion in debt annually for the next decade if this continues. According to a July House Budget Committee report, the U.S. government will add over $6.4 billion every single day for the next 10 years, borrowing $268 million every hour, $4.5 million every minute, and over 74,000 every second. Like, to put that in perspective, guys, 74,000, 74,000, 74,000. That's how much money that America just in those 3 seconds borrowed because of this wasteful spending and what's going on in this entire thing, this program that we call the United States Treasury. And I don't know if LJ knows this as well, but I was reading something and I saw a few videos on it as well that the United States Treasury has in the last 22, 23 years hasn't declined a single expenditure, not a single one in the last 2 decades, which has accounted for why all of this nonsense is going out here. Like I was reading that there was some spending in regards to transgender monkey studies, and I'm like, what are we doing? The foolishness of what we're spending this on. This is exactly why they fought so hard against Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the all the party that it's wanting to put this together. I mean, we've got abandoned chimps that we're looking at. I mean, just cats. More dunking for waste in Mexico. Big Bird goes to Baghdad, which is the Agency for International Development, the USAID, which I believe they actually just announced not too long ago they're doing away with completely, which is amazing. But that is spending $20 million on Sesame Street for Iraqis.
Yeah, which they will not ever care about. What are you going to teach them? Because as I know Sesame Street in the United States to be, some people have become trans, and I think Oscar the Grouch is a homosexual now, and
oh, Lord.
They will burn that down there. They don't play with that shit. So they're not gonna let you indoctrinate their children with Americanized evils, as some would call it, because that's what they would call it.
I mean, the most 97% of all political contributions from the USAID employees went to Democrat candidates, being reported just now by the Daily Wire. So the fact that we're getting rid of all of these, it just now makes sense why they fought against him so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because of all of the, I don't know if you heard it, but in the last 22 or 23 years, zero declinations on expenditures were made by the U.S. Treasury. Mm-hmm. Zero. So it's like, hey, you get it. I mean, they're basically Oprah out here.
Yeah,
you get this. You get
this money. You get this money. And while we're giving this money to each and every one, we're taking 74,000, over and over and over and over again. That's a lot of money. Like, so you said $74,000 a second.
A second. It's almost 74 or 5. To give you the exact number, it's $74,401 every second.
Okay, so there's 31,563,000 seconds in a year. Okay, we're going to times that by 74.5. $2,351,443,500 $443,500,000 for what?
Nothing that helps America. So I mean, you sit here, you say, right, and it broke it down per every hour, right? $268 million every hour. Let's just say for 1 hour we eliminate that and give it to the VA. What could the VA do with $268 million?
Oh, a lot.
Or hey, let's just say one day we don't spend anything. How much? What do you think the VA could do with $6.4 billion just from one day?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, we could.
so you see all those people that do those tabulations with the AI, asking how much it would take to end homelessness in America, how much it would take to end hunger in America, and then they do free college and stuff in America, and it totals out to be about 150 to 170 billion dollars, dependent.
Yeah,
bro. You could fund, let's see, let's divide that by 150. We'll just say 150 billion. Okay. You could provide free housing, free food, and free college for the next 15 years in the United States if we just stop giving this money to whoever they're giving it to.
I'm doing the math here. So essentially, right, if we just took 1 month, right, 1 month of not paying for any of this nonsense, it would end homelessness. It's $2.1 trillion, right, is the average annual debt that will occur if we continue down this path. You take that divided by 12, right? It gives you $175 billion. That right there ends homelessness in America. 1 month of not paying for any of this nonsense. We're trying to put this in perspective for everybody so that we understand how much the United States is wasting, because we continuously sit here and tell you all the time that these bills are filled with pork. Where do you think this nonsense comes from? It's that pork that you don't want to listen to, and we keep telling you about.
Well, I remember when I first met you, this was right around the COVID stuff that was going on. And I first met you and I was like, the omnibus bill hadn't quite come out yet. And we were talking about what was going on and stuff like that. And then the omnibus bill dropped, and you were one of the first persons to call out the fact that they sent $25 million to Egypt for gender-based studies. And we know those people don't play that there. And then they gave, I think, almost 100 million. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong on the number, but I think it was like $100 million to the Smithsonian. If we can't work and we can't go out in public, the hell is a museum doing?
Yeah, there was allotted money around the same figure that goes to the the John F. Kennedy Museum and a bunch of other stuff that had nothing to do with actually, paying attention to what, our national debt is and what's helping Americans. None of these omnibus bills that ever come out actually help Americans. The most of it is just them continuing their own ventures and paying for all this nonsense.
Because so I think about it like this, because someone said the other day that it's just one large money laundering scheme, and we send $25 million to Egypt when we know for a fact that Egypt doesn't put up with homosexuality or gender-based studies because they're not confused. They're going to turn around and wash 3/4 of that money, and it's going to go into someone's pocket. And then I know something we haven't talked about tonight. Ukraine loses $102 billion out of the $177 billion we sent them. And they have $75 billion, but they don't know where the other $102 billion went.
I was just about to bring all that up. It's like, first of all, how you just lose that? I mean, I'm pissed if I'm losing $2 in my couch cushion, and y'all over here with billions of dollars, or at least resources worth billions of dollars. Like, where what you doing?
Well, so to add on to that, I remember where a shipment of weapons were supposed to be given to Ukraine ended up in the hands of Iran and Hamas.
I mean, we've been funding those guys with weapons and artillery for decades, even though we claim that they're our enemy. But let's not talk about that, because it's conspiracy. Even though we have documented proof.
But don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're gonna get banned for that, and demonetized and taken down for telling the truth.
You know, I can't wait for the full fledged of this EO to become a piece of legislation where we can actually tell the truth, because I'm part of the Republican Party here in Texas, so I'm actually having conversations with state legislatures and sometimes federal. I've had conversations with like Troy Nails. I've met him. He's a congressional member here in Texas for the federal. I've met Ted Cruz, and I hope to one day have an interview with him on our podcast on the radio. But you know, I've had conversations with some of the state representatives here, and they're all saying the same thing. It's like, we can't trust our news anymore. The news is social media. And in the term of, oh, you just believe anything on the internet is becoming a reality, because that's the only trusted source that we have nowadays.
And it's not even the major news outlets. It's people like yourself. It's people like Mike. It's people like Jam and Lou that are actually out there getting this information. Like you were probably one of the most well-researched individuals I've ever met in my life. And I thought I did good research. I thought I was thorough. But you, when it comes down to it, you get it down to the nth degree, and you find websites that can't be found, that actually have valid information. And then it has a, you scroll down to the bottom, it has sources, unlike all these opinion pieces that these liberals and leftists pull from. And it's like, we don't want to talk to you. We don't want to hear from you. We're going to ban your stuff. We're going to pull it down. We're going to demonetize it. We're going to flag it. We're going to stop the engagement because it's not going to be pushed out, a part of that $330,000 that was spent to silence your voice. And it's just like, wait a minute, but you're not lying though. Like, I could understand if you were up here fabricating or embellishing to the point where it could mislead people, but you're like, hey, go to this website, go down to this page, click the sources. It'll take you to the .gov, where it lays out all of the Bureau and Labor and Statistics. This is how many jobs that we've gained, how many jobs we've lost. Here's a comparison. And nope, misinformation.
Right. And I mean, the thing with me is I've had videos taken down and comments deleted where I'm citing governmental official pages where numbers are shown, right? And I don't use, anybody that knows me, I do not use .coms, .orgs, or anything of that nature unless it says in the sources that it's coming from something like a .gov. Like I just used tonight. A lot of people will call me out, but I did my research. Britannica, which is what I use to show the charts for Canada trade, and then also the World Integrated Trade Solutions. Those are one's a .com and one's a .org. So those are also, you can go to their sources and where they're citing their information. So just because they have something up on a website doesn't mean that it's a legitimate source. Look at the sources that they're using, because I'm getting shut down for what? Using facts?
So what I will say to the people out there listening is something that I do, and I implore everyone to do it. Actually, I'm telling you, you need to do it, and I'm demanding that you do it. Start taking your phones or computers, however you do it. When you get these sources, right click P, or Control P on the computer, Command P on the computer if you got a Mac or a PC, and hit print. But don't hit print, hit PDF. The drop down, turn it into a PDF. Save the shit on your computer. Save it on your phones, because I've watched in real time web pages change. When news source information come out from the media, the websites change. So get these sources, save these sources. And I don't know how many times I've been able to actually shut people down with these sources, and they're like, oh, well, I can't find it. Of course you can't, because they pulled it down. Just the other day, I was looking at some documentation from the government about how 1 in 4 kids are identify as trans now. And I typed that into Google. Google took me to Wikipedia. Then I left Wikipedia and went to another page. And even the AI, it's so bad that even the AI said that the NIH has done this study on it. But when you go to the website and then you scroll down and hit sources that direct you to the NIH's website, page cannot be found, under construction.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that goes back to the whole COVID situation. I mean, when it comes to economics and stuff like that, I'm still learning. I'm still finding, credible sources and sites and stuff like that. But when it comes to the whole COVID thing, there's
Mhm.
nothing more that I'm learning on when it comes to, the NIH website or, the VAERS, all of that. That's my forte. And I'm using actual data from medical professionals using the NIH website
Mhm.
against themselves, and
Mhm.
still I'm getting, reported, and I'm getting taken down for years. And guess what? We were right the entire
The whole
time.
time.
The
The
whole
whole time.
time. You know why? Because studies don't just magically change. You
Mm-mm.
dummies just forgot they were on your website.
Mhm. Mhm. That's the funniest thing I've watched you do, uh, where you were like, "Hey, I pulled this from this website in 2017 or 2020, and now it's 2023. Look at the comparison." And the dummies forgot that they left the link up here for for the original study. It's just like, wait a minute. And what I've also realized about our government is they don't do studies very often. They don't do
Mm,
studies very often. It's like once every so often. So why is it that you just did this study last year, but you have a contradictory study because something changed?
Right. I mean, when it comes to peer reviewed, like you could use peer reviewed, which just for those that know, that means that it's been tested by other people. The original test was reviewed by other professionals and conducted themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what peer review basically means in a gist. There's more to it, but just as a synapse, and that you use that kind of stuff and you still get taken down. It's absolutely crazy to me to believe that you're sitting here telling me to trust the professionals, trust the medical, doctors and all this other stuff, but yet they don't even know what's going on.
Mm-mm.
Why? Because there hasn't been any studies on it. And the
Mm.
studies that have been placed in the realm of what it is COVID is are contradicting everything they're saying by the NIH and Dr. Death is what I call him, Mr.
Yes,
Fauci.
the Keebler elf.
I hope to God that they actually go after him and challenge these uh, preemptive pardons.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to, because we the people don't realize the power we have sometimes. I think we just read. We need to write an affidavit like we challenge these preemptive pardons because I've never seen it before, and especially on this scale of pardons that shouldn't be given out. Why are you pardoning your wife for what?
Like, I mean, it's like saying, go. And I've used this example before. It's like a judge throwing out a case before the indictment even happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, huh?
Yep.
That don't even make any sense.
Yeah, it's just like, wait a minute. You said we're just gonna let this person go? Yeah. Yep. 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 What can we do about it?
So I'm excited to see, I know the liberals are just losing their mind, gaslighting themselves to I mean, just trying to act like everything's coming to fruition for them, for their side, and that Donald Trump's going to be impeached. You know how many times I've seen over the last 2 weeks, impeach Trump, impeach Trump. Like, impeach him for what? First of all, you're not even going to get an impeachment in the House of Representatives. Like, we literally have it. Like, yeah, it's only by two seats, but
It's more than
there's gonna be
enough.
some Democrats that aren't gonna vote for that.
Yeah.
And even if it did get to the Senate, it's dead on arrival.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, so
So,
you just want to waste more tax dollars. I guess that goes coincide with what we just read today. You guys like wasting money.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, can you think about the last time Donald Trump was in office? How much money they spent trying to get him out of office?
It's crazy.
Billions of dollars. And in Congress, Congress got raises in that. Like they were temporary raises, but they got more pay because we're working real hard right now, so we need more money. What?
And they're
And
trying to
it
get rid of that freeze. The freeze I can't think
oh,
of it off the top of
oh,
my
you talking
head,
about
but
the foreign aid freeze? Because
no,
Trump.
not the foreign aid on their increase, because they have. I did a whole
Oh, you're
video
talking
on
about
it.
from the continuing resolution where they try to give themselves a raise.
They almost did, yeah. They
Yeah.
eventually took it out, but it's like the fact, like, what makes you feel like you deserve a raise? You make more than most American. You are literally in the top 10% of earners. with your paycheck that
and
you
work
get
less than anybody else in the country.
maybe 200 days a year, right? But yet
Oh,
you got
I did math. No. The most on average, they work 111 days a year. Average. And I
and they're
took an average of the whole year or actually I averaged up 10 years, 111 days on average a year.
crazy. And that's the thing that you got people like there's a congresswoman here from Texas. She went MIA for what, 6 months? Nobody knew where she was. You know, I don't even remember what it was. That she was like sick or something, having some
She was
like
in
dementia.
she was in an Alzheimer's ward.
Yeah. I was gonna say she has some kind of dementia or something. Like she didn't
Yeah.
tell anybody. And it's just like the Surgeon General. Oh well, I know he's not in Congress, but this is another paid official tax dollars. That what it was like 8 weeks he was gone because he was dealing with cancer treatment and all. Like I understand that. Like
Well,
that's
same
a
thing
big
with your
deal.
Secretary of Defense.
But oh, maybe that's who it was. The
Yeah,
Secretary
it
of
was
Defense.
Secretary of Defense. He didn't tell anybody anything. He just dipped
Right.
out.
Right. I mean, like I understand cancer and stuff like that. Like go get treated, obviously. But like you're the Secretary of Defense, man. Like if somebody starts attacking us, you're the first person we look to. Like you can't just dip. And we pay you. Like, but these people
pay you
want
well
raises.
too. Well, hold on. Let's see. How much do they make? How much
Secretary of
does
Defense?
the Secretary of Defense make?
I know just right off the rip for Congress, if you're a newcomer, 74,000.
Yeah, he makes $246,400 a year. That's the earning salary, the starting salary.
This is crazy. I mean, I wish I got paid not to work. It'd be great.
Would be nice. Would be nice. I mean, I would still work because I'm a workaholic, but it's the Secretary of Defense gets paid $1 million a year, bro. And this dude just, well, I'm gonna go take care of myself and not tell anybody. Like, what if what if we, either one of us, well, I own my own business, but like, say I work, what happens if we no call, no show?
Boom, you out.
What happens if we only showed up out of the year only 111 days?
Oh shoot, you wouldn't have made it the 111 days.
Fired on the spot. And we expect these people that get paid, like you said, better than half of the United States, starting at $174,000 a year, to do more than what they're doing. And these people, you know, with the Senate hearings, why digging into people's personal lives and all this other stuff. And it's just like, wait a minute, why are we don't pay you to do this. We pay you to find out if this person's qualified or not. We pay you to make bills that doesn't steal our money.
And you know what's crazy about this? I actually I did a video on this, and I wish I would have pulled it up here. Let's see if I can play it though, real quick. Just because this is a senator, a man that has been in Congress since 2009, right? He's been in politics for 20 years this year. His name is Senator 𝗫𝗫𝗀𝗏 out of New Mexico. Listen to this ridiculous question that he asked RFK.
President Trump asked you to cut Medicaid. Will you do it?
Well, it's not up to me to cut Medicaid. It would be up to Congress. Oh, and
You don't want to answer?
I'm going to work.
Mr. Kennedy, you don't want to answer? I'll move on.
This is a man that has been in Congress for nearly 20 years, asking a ridiculous question he knows, and he's trying to gaslight America into believing that he has that the health and the Secretary of Health and Human Services has any control over Medicare or Medicaid in regards to it being defunded or removed completely. These are the people you guys are putting in Congress.
Mm-hmm. And that wasn't even a gotcha question. That was just like, you're asking me if I'm going to do something that I have absolutely no power. That's like asking you, Nate, are you going to go unlock the White House tomorrow? I don't have the keys. I don't live in Washington, D.C. I don't have the security clearance. Nobody knows me there. Why are you asking me something that I have no power to do?
Let's make it even worse. you're the head of White House security, right? You're the one that literally has the keys. Asking that question. That's the equivalency of what just freaking happened, because he is the one that would initiate anything of that or strike it down if it was presented in Congress, because he's a freaking senator.
That's crazy, bro. Like,
y'all wonder why I'm willing to just call out these people in Congress and just call them stupid, because honestly, that is just stupid. Even though I know he's doing it purposefully, because he knows all of America is watching and trying to, but the fact that he scoffed at Robert Kennedy when he said, "That's your job, dude. Like, what are you talking about?" Oh, he caught me on live TV. All right, let's just move on. It's like, no, duh. You quit asking stupid questions. You're wasting tax dollars.
Yeah. I mean, in all of these hearings, though, bro, like these hearings could have been in and out less than a day, and they're dragging these things out, asking questions about people's personal lives, asking if you're going to cancel programs that you have no power to cancel. What the Pete Hegseth one really, really hurt my heart, because it's just like, regardless of whether you think he's qualified or not, why are we talking about this man's personal life? What he does in a bedroom.
His personal life has nothing to do with him being a defense secretary. None whatsoever. Just because he may or may not have cheated on his wife, she's still with him regardless, right? So obviously that's something they had to deal with, and if it was true, I don't even know if it's true. I don't care.
Well, let's say it's true though, Nate. Let's say it's true, because over the past 23 years now, they've been using taxpayer money to pay off their side pieces, and it's over $19 million now of taxpayer money goes to pay hush money to their indiscretions, their side pieces. And then during the Biden administration, we watch staffers doing unmentionable things on the Congress floor, and that's taxpayer money, because they get paid by tax. You're getting paid to do things that anybody else would have done. We would be jailed.
And the thing about that was announced on the congressional floor. So it's literally, you can go to YouTube and look that up and watch when that was done. I think it was
Senator
Massey. Yeah, okay. So I was right. It was Massey that said that. And if I was Pete Hegseth, because I'm petty, I don't care. I don't pull punches. I don't care. I would have said, like, how you going to sit here and judge me about my personal life, which I've already made up with my wife on this situation, while y'all out here paying your hoes
with our money.
And I would have said that. I would have said it just like that.
So they want to denigrate Trump for messing around on his wife. They want to denigrate Pete Hegseth for allegedly messing around on his wife, and then denigrate Trump for using his own money to pay that off. But you're using our money to cheat on your spouses, our money to get drunk off of, because that's taxpayer money that pays for the alcohol. That's taxpayer money that pays for other extracurricular activities that they're doing.
It's craziness out here. But either way, we're going to keep, paying attention to everything going on in the world of politics, obviously. So keep up to date with us. And then also, Lumberjack, thank you so much. Always welcome here, and just so everybody knows, Lumberjack is starting his own podcast this Thursday. What time is it?
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be there. I will be there.
And the name of it again was?
It is called the Timber Talk, Navigating the Political Forest.
Absolutely. And I believe he's on all platforms, so please go follow him. We love him. He's going to give just as much knowledge as he get here, so definitely reach out there. And also, again, more prayers out to Meg. I believe that she might be done by now, hopefully, and Mike will be with us. But also, just so everybody knows, we did start a partnership with Radio DeBang here in Houston. So we are on the radio and a podcast soon, hopefully to be on TV with OBBN. I'm sorry. It's a news network, more smaller, kind of like OAN. But keep a lookout for that on Saturdays. You can find Radio DeBang on all platforms. They'll stream it on Facebook primarily. So look for them there. Saturdays, at 12 Central. Me and Mike will be there. But we love you guys. Thank you all for coming in. And if you haven't already, follow us on all the platforms: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Rumble, Instagram. We're everywhere, right? You hear it every week. Go follow us. Follow Lumberjack as well. And everybody in the comments, show some love. We thank you guys for coming. You guys have a great night. We'll see you guys on Saturday.
See you later.